3 things every blog post should have in order to create a better reading experience for your readers, but also to increase the overall efficiency of your blog and potentially even the conversions. I'm Dennis. I'm an awarded digital marketer and social media manager who's helping his clients to generate thousands of clicks, millions of impressions, and tons of new followers every single month. And I even have a couple of blog posts ranking on Google's first page. And that's the reason why I want to give you some tips how you can increase a better reading experience for your readers, but also how you potentially can increase the conversions and the overall efficiency of your blog. And I want to start with 2 of those 3 things that I want to talk about right away, because they're very connected to each other in a way, and because they should be the last thing that you're writing when you write a new blog post, even though it might be a little bit counterintuitive, basically. It is the intro, the introduction of the blog post, and the conclusion. And those are 2 of the 3 things, and those 2 should be the last things that you write when you write the blog post. Which means you really start off with the research, looking for hashtags, looking for questions, looking for the information. Then you put everything together, and then when you're already done with everything, then you write the conclusion and the intro. You do that this way because basically if you start with the intro, the conclusion doesn't make sense either way, but the introduction is basically there to give a brief overview about what's about to come. And that's also the reason why it should be the last thing that you write, or one of the last things that you write, because before you haven't finished the blog post, you obviously can't know for sure what's inside the blog post. So that's the reason why you want to make sure that you write it as last piece of your blog post. And if you created that, then, or if you're writing the intro, then, as I already said, make sure that you give a brief overview about what's about to come, which information the person is going to find inside the blog post. But ideally, you also want to still some curiosity or maybe even urgency in these first couple of lines in order to really make the reader read the whole article. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the conclusion, is obviously also something that you should write as last bit, because similar to the introduction, you can only conclude your blog post if you know what you've talked about before. And so that's another thing. Conclude the whole blog post. Take the most important informations or the point that you want to get across to your reader and put it into the conclusion, that someone who may be not interested, or the goal of the conclusion should be that someone who doesn't have the time, don't want to take the time, or just wants to have the information that he's looking for, can skip the whole blog post, go right into the conclusion, only read the conclusion, and still get the most important information, or the information that the person is came potentially to your blog for. So should be the goal of the conclusion. And if you can do that, then that's perfect. But again, you need to know what's written inside the blog post in order to be able to create the conclusion and to create or get this point across. The last thing and the third thing that you want to include in every blog post, no exceptions here, is a call to action. Every blog post should have at least one call to action at the bottom. And this could be pretty much everything. There could be download my freebie here, sign up for the newsletter, watch a full guide here, write a comment, share your thoughts, share this article with someone you know. Like, it could be literally everything that you want the reader to do. And that's really important, because then obviously otherwise, if the person read everything, or maybe even just the conclusion, they don't really know what to do. Maybe they just leave, and if you ask them to do something for you, then they're happy to help you if you help them with your blog post. So that doesn't mean that everyone will write a comment if you ask them for it, obviously, and not everyone will subscribe to your list. But having a clear call to action and telling them a next step, what you want them to do, is really, really helpful. Or you can even ask them to read another article on the topic if you have an article that is maybe sharing more information or a different direction. Or just another thing that they potentially could be interested in. So that's a great way to, just get more conversions, increase the time that someone spends on your website, and so forth and so forth. So that's a really, 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 really important point. And there's even the possibility that you can create several call to actions within your blog post. I would just recommend that you create them a little bit softer, because you obviously don't want someone to just leave your blog, the article, after they read half of it. So just including a couple of links and a couple of informations like, by the way, we have some more information here if you're interested in that topic as well, for example, or if there are some words or information that might be difficult for them to understand at that point, you can even link to other helpful articles or videos to just help them even more. But you don't want to be like, hey, stop what you're doing right now and go over there and read this instead of this article, because you definitely should do this. So that's not what you want to do, obviously. So having soft call to actions in your blog post, in the middle, in the beginning, in the last part, really doesn't matter. Where you put them, have them, they will help. And one very clear to action at the end of the blog post after the conclusion, and then you'll be good. So those were the three things that every blog post should have, and I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. Otherwise, share this video with someone that you think this could be helpful for, with someone that owns a blog or wants to perform better. And if you need help with your blog, then feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to support you with that.